Okay.
Keep going. Yeah. All right, I'll see you there.
Cool. Ready?
So I'm gonna do.
You
after
just
I
got.
do the we do.
No,
so
I
this-
do. You just got done doing your I do.
So now we're doing this part.
Right before you jump in here.
Okay.
The checks for understanding.
Okay.
And so, like, if you're that last line with Victor, you're like, now I determine, blah blah blah.
Wasn't that right after the? Oh, we do that for both the I do and the we do, because we just put those processing CFUs after that.
So that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Right before you jump into that example problem.
Okay. So now let's see. Now I can conclude that the two lines are parallel because they are, if I imagine them going on forever and ever, they will never touch. So now, what did I do first when determining how to find parallel lines? And I call someone, they say, I first imagine extending the lines forever and ever. And then I say, after I imagine extending my lines forever and ever, what do I do next? And then I ask myself, will they ever touch? And then say, now that we know that they will, now that I see that they will never touch, what do I conclude? Are they parallel or are they not parallel? And then they say they're parallel. And then why are they? So I know that.
Wait, did you? This is your debrief about the knowledge you just gave about characteristics, right?
No, this is right after the. Oh yeah. Oh, geez, I did the wrong example.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
it's the same idea, right? With this.
Right.
Okay.
I just got confused.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I'll just start over. So now that I see that these lines, now that I see that if we extend these lines forever and ever, they will eventually touch, I know that they're not parallel. What did I do in order to find that out first? What did I do?
What was it? Yeah.
Sorry. What did I do in order to find that they are not parallel? What was my first step? My first step was I extended my lines forever and ever.
Are you expecting students to do this?
No,
I'll be your student.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do I do first in determining whether they're parallel lines?
The first step was that you imagine your head that extended forever and ever.
Now that I've imagined that they're extending forever and ever, what do I think to myself?
You think to yourself if they cross.
So what's that word for cross?
Intersect.
Okay. If I see that they're going to intersect, what is my conclusion about whether they are parallel or not?
Actually, you ask yourself, after I see and decide if they intersect, what do I ask myself? And you want them to push to say, like, I need to ask myself if it's parallel or not.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now that I see that these are intersecting, what conclusion can I make?
You could conclude that they are not parallel.
Yep. So I see that they're not parallel. Oh, I thought first I see that they're not parallel. Because they're going to touch or they're going to intersect, and then I ask them the processing CFU, or
why? Okay.
Or do I ask them without stating that?
Okay, I just thought you were going to
do that.
I was like, that was okay.
So now we know that these are not parallel lines because the lines will intersect. So how do I know that these lines are not parallel lines? So, I thought I was supposed to give the answer.
No. You asked. So, why are they not parallel lines? Because they intersect.
Okay. I thought that I was supposed to give the answer, and then ask them
No. No, because you already modeled. You already modeled, and you already gave them you already said earlier, hey, these aren't parallel lines because they cross when you were doing that model.
Okay.
So now this is the point, like, did they really understand why these aren't parallel lines? And so now it's for you to really get an understanding of it. Yeah. Okay. So let's start from the top.
But then even if so how do I know that these are not parallel lines?
We know that they're not parallel lines because they intersected.
Okay, let's use our key points about parallel lines in that sentence.
We know that they're not parallel lines because the two lines that never touch. And these lines touch.
Okay. Good.
Okay. All right. So I like actually how at the end you pushed me to use the key points. Let's start from the top of the process of like what's the first step I take, and then them telling me. This would be more of a flow of it, so it's really quick.
Sorry.
Start from the top of where you start your first check for understanding after you modeled.
All right. So what did I do first in order to find out if this is a parallel line?
You asked yourself if you imagined in your head the lines going on forever.
Good. After I imagine that they're going on forever and ever, what do I think to myself?
You think to yourself if they will touch.
Good. So now I see that they will eventually touch. So what's my conclusion from that?
We conclude that they do touch.
Yep, so now that we know that, what can we conclude about this?
Are these parallel? What can we conclude?
I thought that they, so what do we conclude about
if they're parallel lines or not?
Okay, what do we conclude about them being parallel?
What do I need to determine? You need to determine if they're parallel lines. Are these parallel lines? No.
Right.
Why? Because they touch. So maybe shifting like what do I need to determine is the same thing as like what's my goal?
Yeah.
The objective.
All right. So what's my goal?
So what do I need to determine? What do I need to determine about these lines? How about that?
Okay. I feel like that's like it's okay, yeah, sure. So what do I determine? What am I trying to find out about these lines?
We need to decide if they're parallel.
Yeah, so are these lines parallel?
No.
Why?
Because they touch.
Good.
In parallel lines.
A parallel line. So what are parallel lines?
Parallel lines never touch.
Parallel lines are lines that never touch.
Lines that never touch. Cut. Okay. So, found it effective that you were able to go through the process of like from the very beginning of like what did I do first, and say like imagining. They like this is the time to them repeat like to tell you what you did rather than giving them like that answer. And I think that's where we're wrestling with right now. Yeah. And so right now you had a thought, but you held it back. I want to hear like your thought.
Oh no, I was just thinking that I was like stopping. I was getting out of the process, like from the process, because I don't think they would necessarily think in the middle of the thing like, what am I asking myself? Or is that something I want them
You want them to start thinking. That's making them metacognitive about their own thinking.
But then they're thinking that the whole time, like,
what am I
That's like the overarching kind of like thing.
Mm-hmm. So, but you're showing them by breaking it down for them.
Okay.
So by like you starting off, say like, what was that first question? What do I do first? They're like you want them to think like, well, first I need to imagine lines. Yeah. Okay, great. That's what the student's response is. Then you ask, okay, now that we imagine our lines, what question do I need to ask myself? So in their heads they're thinking, what question do I need to ask myself? You call on the student, you need to ask yourself if the lines ever touch.
Yeah.
Great. So we saw, do these lines ever touch? And the answer is yes. Okay, so after I see that the lines touch, then I need to determine, this is like your goal, then I need to determine if they're parallel lines.
Do I say that, or do I say, what am I determining?
I think that's a good one.
Because I think that was the thing, because I felt like that I could, because you were saying that that's something we want them to think, like, what are we determining? And so I was thinking, is that something that I need to explicitly like ask them, or is it something they already should?
You should have it part of the process.
Yeah.
But it is like really brighten these lines. Like today we're determining if it's like parallel. Like even using that academic language with them. So it's wrestling of like, do you want to say, do we need to determine if these are parallel lines, or do you want them to say or if you want them to ask them, what are we determining? What's more of a processing is what are we determining?
Okay. All right. So what are we determining? We're determining that they're
and they tell you.
Lines. Yeah. And then are they parallel lines? No. How do you know?
Because parallel lines never touch, and these lines touch.
Perfect. You used your key points inside your answer. Awesome.
Great. Awesome. So let's go through one more time from the top of starting off with, you just got done modeling and starting off with like your first step.
Okay. So how did I determine that these are not parallel lines? What did I do first?
You said you imagined that the lines went on forever and ever.
Yep. After I imagined that the lines go on forever and ever, what do I have to think to myself?
You think if they touch.
Yep. So I see that here, if I imagine them going forever and ever, they will touch. So what am I determining right now?
You're determining if they're parallel lines.
Good. So are they parallel lines?
No.
Why not?
Because these lines touch.
Right. Let's use our key points.
These lines touch and parallel lines never touch.
Good.
Cool. How did that feel?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. And then so like time wise, it should take about 2 minutes. And then once students start catching on, like, oh, he's asking like the how key points, it'll pick up the P.
If someone clunks, then do I just say, look at your how key points, or like what should I do if someone...
Good question. So I would anticipate the first part that they're clunked. I would be like, okay, like let's like when I did this problem, what did you see me like imagining?
Yeah.
That's what like the key, like like you imagine that they went on forever. Great. So now I imagine that we went on forever and ever.
What if they skip one? They say like, oh, I think, are they going to intersect, instead of saying I imagine them going on forever and ever. So like, what if they skip it? Then I should. I'm just kind of like brainstorming.
How did you know that they're going to touch? Because I see them right now and they're not touching.
Yeah. Or no. I'm asking like if I ask them what do I do first, and they say I try to find out if they're going to touch. So they skipped.
Okay. How do you figure out that they're going to touch?
Oh, okay. So I just ask.
Okay.
All right, okay.
Yeah, and then they should say somewhere along like, well, I have to imagine that they're forever and ever. Okay. And then they still like, they're like, oh, because I just like, I see it here. They're like, well, I don't see them touching right now.
Yeah.
So like, that means they're parallel. And then they go, no, Mr. Kim, you have to imagine in your head.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good question.
All right.
Great. So then that means tomorrow you have it first thing in the morning, correct?
No, this is... Oh, yes, tomorrow is first thing. Yep, Thursday.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
Yep.
So tomorrow I will be in here. What is a way that I could coach you of the time where like you get done after your model and asking like the process of how to ask these or the order.
Are you asking like how should you remember
if
I forget?
Should it be cue card? Should I just raise my hand?
Yeah, like that. That's
the raising hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so if like there's something that's missed, I'll be like, I'll raise my hand and like ask you, and then I'll let you continue on.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll be in here tomorrow, and then your lesson plans, just go back in for Friday and like next week's lesson plans to make sure just like your CFUs are right after your I do of the think aloud.
Okay.
And that will lead to